Well,
There we
hello.
go.
I am Jana, and this is Julie, and we are here
Hi.
with we are here with Big Gold Belt Media, as well as the Nerds Awaken podcast. So whether you are watching the video or you are listening to the audio, we are here to talk all about the Netflix series Bridgerton, season 3, part 1, which premiered today, May 16th. And we
hmm
got to have an early look at the first 4 episodes, which is all of part 1. So we will be talking about it. It will be full spoilers. So if you have not watched episodes 1 through 4 yet, I'd recommend going to do that and then coming back because we are going to just dive right in and talk about it all.
And if you need to take this episode on the go, description of how to find the audio, our podcast is in the description notes. So make sure you check that out. So let's dive into it. Like Jana said, part 1, Bridgerton season 3. It is Pollen's season. And for those of you who are like, who's Pollen? Penelope and Colin's season. I'm going to go into it. Here we go. This has now become one of my favorite seasons of Bridgerton. It beat season 1 and it definitely beat season 2 for me. I loved it. I loved it. What do you think? What are your initial thoughts?
Same. It has been the best season for me so far. We recorded a recap for our podcast for season 2, which I was not a huge fan of. So coming into this season, I feel like my expectations were really low. And I had not read this book, so I did not really know what was going to happen going in. But yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. So Jana is going in as a non-book reader, and I have read the book. We'll try, obviously there's a lot of, in the book, we'll try to stick to the show, especially the first 4 episodes, because that's part 1. Expectations for me. Yeah, season 2 had its bumps and bruises. There were some good things about it. I think what raised my expectations was the Queen Charlotte sub-series. It was that spin-off series. And so going into this, I kind of had my expectations were a little bit higher. I love Penelope. I love Colin. And so, and I love Nicola and I love Luke, who play the characters. And so I was ready for it, but yeah, I was ready for an improvement from season 2. Not to say that season 2 was completely bad, but I just needed that improvement. So let me ask you this. When you first heard about the break, because this is the first time Netflix and Bridgerton have decided to actually put a break mid-season. Typically, it's been all 8 episodes released all at once. Everybody's binging it. What was your takeaway? Like, what did you think about having the break after episode 4? And then a few months later, it will be part 2.
I think it was fine. I mean, just from a social media and promotion aspect, when you aren't just dumping all 8 episodes at once, it kind of gives social media more time to digest it and talk about it. And so instead of talking about the last episode, you get to talk about more like all the episodes.
Yeah.
You know?
And as a viewer, you get to digest more. It's more of that sense of processing it, extending that analysis, looking for those Easter eggs. So at first I will say I was a little disappointed because we want all of it, like where it ended. And yes, like we said, this is going to be spoilers. We're going to talk about that break, that ending after, at the end of episode 4. I will say I at first I was like, no, I want all of it. And then where it ended was absolute perfection. It was great. It was fantastic. So,
and it's not as bad as like Outlander, where you get 6 months between parts. Like, this is just a month. Like, it's really manageable. You can rewatch the first 4 episodes a bunch of times and talk about it and listen to podcasts and watch YouTube recaps. And so, yeah, I mean, I was fine with it. Where it ended, it was a great ending. Like, not
it really was
super, super like hangery.
Nope.
But I know I felt satisfied. I'm like, yeah, I
Right.
wanted to
But
watch
enough.
more, but I'm like, okay, I'm
Right.
satisfied with this. This is a lot to chew on.
Mhm. And it was enough for me to, when I watched it, to like scream and go, oh my God, you know.
There were several scream-worthy moments. It's true. Not the least
Before,
of which was
yeah,
when they had an orchestra rendition of BTS's Dynamite. That's where I screamed the loudest.
the music is on point. It's always been on point since season 1, and how the music is used to, you know, heighten the emotions. I really liked the use of that ABCDFU song in the middle of a ball. So that was key. That was good. Good job. Well played. Really quick, because you're a non-reader, what were you hoping for this season?
I was hoping for not a love triangle. That was my least favorite thing from season 2 with Canthony. Not a love triangle, less I can't believe I'm saying this, but less angst. Like there was so much angst and torture and fighting in season 2 that I guess I wanted a slightly more balanced season.
Yeah.
And I feel like we absolutely got that. I loved this. Like there was way more humor, and the dialogue was so good. Pacing was great. It was, I mean, just for me, and I'm not saying I hated season 2, but this was such a step above in always.
Yeah, you're right. It was a much lighter season. Like the humor was there, the wit was there, especially with Eloise. We'll get to that later, but it felt like there was a different feel altogether. I would like to know the writer's room and what happened. What were the conversations that took place in the writer's room for this season and the focus for this season? As a reader, I mean, I have a whole list of things I was hoping to see, and yes, they did happen. And the carriage scene was number 1 on that list. And then there's another one, but we'll save that for part 2. But the carriage scene, I was very much I was pleasantly surprised that the show decided to allow Nicola Coughlan to still be this beautiful, full-figured woman who is just stunning and gorgeous. And if you read the books, you know that Penelope actually loses weight. Approximately, they said, I think 2 stones, 3 stones, which is about 20, 30 pounds. So
a stone is 14 pounds. So
okay.
Like, almost 30 pounds.
Right. So the show, before the show premiered, the producers, the star said, no, we're not doing that. Beautiful women, no matter what their size, deserve love. So I was happy that they stayed away from that and moved forward and gave us this love story. So there's what we were hoping for. And let's go ahead. Let's get started. Let's talk about it. This season is definitely those 4 episodes are definitely worth the re-binge, in my opinion. It's going to be re-binge worthy, number 1 on Netflix for weeks. I'm calling it right now.
It's so good. So should we start off just by talking about our main couple?
Yeah. Let's go for it. Colin, Penelope. Let's do it.
We've got Colin coming back from his travels, tanned and kind of putting on a very different air. And granted, I don't remember a ton of Colin from the last seasons, but he seemed very artificial. Charming, yes. Sociable, but it seemed like it immediately came off as so fake, like when he's flirting with the ladies and his one-liners. And it's just, it does not come off as like, oh yeah, this is Colin. This is the Colin that Penelope fell in love with. He's more worldly, but he's more artificial. It's how I saw him.
No, I completely agree. I think it's him discovering who he is and not really knowing Colin Bridgerton is. He's the third brother. He's this, he's the caring brother. We noticed in the first 2 seasons is his wide-eyed innocence and definitely trying to find his place in this world and not knowing who that man is, and watching him trying to discover that and maneuver and find his way in the ton. And like you said, it's coming off, while it is charming and he is very good looking, is it truly him? And I think the one person who really sees that is Penelope. She's the one who challenges him. She's the one who understands who the man is. And he almost lets his guard down solely for her. There's this one moment where he slips. That bar scene I thought was perfectly written. Where all of these bachelors, including Colin, are at the bar and they're sitting around and they're talking about their conquests. And you could just see he's tired. He's done with it. He doesn't want this life. And he just simply says, yeah.
He says, why?
And shocks them.
Why are we supposed to like be so cavalier about like the most important thing in life, which is like love and intimacy. And it's not just boasting about conquests. And you feel like you see the real Colin with Penelope. Like the whole act just slips, and he's more boyish and naturally charming and like more awkward. Like he's not smooth with Penelope.
No, not at all. And that's what makes their relationship so endearing. And, to counter that, Penelope has this newfound sense of, this is who I am. I'm owning who I am. No more will somebody else dictate my path. I'm not just going to be the wallflower, the spinster sitting in the sidelines watching everybody and then secretly reporting it to Lady Whistledown, or as Lady Whistledown. Spoiler if you didn't know that, which you should, because it's season 1. But at the same time, Penelope's still trying to find who she is and her pathway and her struggles. And yes, she has this newfound confidence, but she's still Penelope. It's not this complete change. And that's what they love, that's what they start to bond over, is these people that they initially know. Like, this is one of my favorite tropes, which is the friends to lovers trope. They have a solid friendship. And I think that's why I think they're going to be one of my favorite couples in this season, is because unlike the previous 2 seasons, these two have had a friendship, a relationship. There's been a foundation, and this season builds upon that foundation, and it's a natural build. It's not like coming out of left field. It's the gradual, how do I say it? It's the gradual growth of feelings. So,
and you have you already have that, like you said, that foundation of trust, respect, familiarity, and then you just need that spark to take light. And that, the spark can happen very quickly. I love the line that Violet says, and I wish I could remember it exactly, but friends can become lovers if one of them is brave enough to make the first move. And like with friends to lovers, so often it's that they don't want to risk the friendship. It's like if you try to take it, make it become more and it fails, friendship over. So I loved that it was Violet encouraging Colin to be the one to
the Mama Bridgerton.
Move it from friends to lovers in a carriage.
We just love Mama Bridgerton. We love her. And she gets her own little story. Her journey continues. Her story is not over just yet, but we'll get to that later. But I will say show. Oh, go ahead.
Can we talk about how surprised we both were that Colin had the first threesome in Bridgerton history? Like, I figured it would have been Benedict or even Anthony. But no. Colin.
I went, oh, I'm like, boy goes away to Greece and comes back and learns a thing or two. Normal people leave and bring back, souvenirs of, postcards, trinkets, and everything. Colin comes back with a souvenir of, sexual conquest. So, well, good
Colin
job.
discovered himself and threesomes in continental Europe. That was
I mean, it was thrown out. It was definitely one of those moments we both went, whoa, hello, but it's showing us that this is one way that Colin is growing. Colin is definitely changing from seasons 1 and 2. Going back to the couple though, and how the show portrays them, I have to say this season very much, one of my issues with the previous season with Kate and Anthony's, I wanted to see them more as a couple, not necessarily fighting their feelings and the love triangle. I wanted to see them more as a couple. And I feel like this season we're getting that. And part 2, I feel will just develop that and grow, and we'll talk about part 2 later on, but I was so happy with what they delivered and how much they delivered of Colin and Penelope this season, and the focus, and it doesn't hurt that both of them have amazing chemistry. Like they played up on that chemistry.
And can we talk about the kiss scene? Which, I mean, as a non-book reader, I don't know if that was in the book or not, but it was wild. Because it was episode 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think it was
maybe?
one.
It felt really early on. And just, and then how it haunts Colin's dreams. Yes, so I think it was, I forget. But it ends one episode, and then you start another one where it's a dream. And we were both like, it has to be Colin's dream. Like, it's Colin's dream, right? He's haunted by the kiss. It was so good.
And the fact that it was initiated by Penelope. She needed that. She needed, and her first kiss to be from this man that she has loved all her life. So,
and it's like she needs it to try and move on, because the first 4 episodes show her really wanting to be married. She wants that independence from her mother and her family, and so she's pursuing Lord Delbene. And but just in that moment of heartbreak and weakness, she turns to Colin and knowing that, I mean, even maybe that's even the first step. She's not expecting anything more to come from it, but she needs this favor and this act of comfort from her friend.
Well, and she has just convinced herself, and Colin didn't help with his comments, which was, I would never marry a Penelope Featherington from season 2. She has convinced herself that is not, it will never be more than this friendship. And she has to, to sit with that and settle with that. But oh my gosh, when she asked for that and he went in and he kissed, and then it was the second kiss. It's that kiss that I need more. And he does it.
And then she's the one who breaks it off because she's a queen, and she leaves, and she's like,
and then she just walks away.
She just runs away. But, I was screaming. We were texting each other. I'm like, kiss him.
It was, and that's what I'm really enjoying about this season is that, the first season had a lot of sex. Like, there was times where you would jump in the middle of a certain episode and there would be people having sex, and the Duke and Daphne were, I mean, there was 2 episodes where it felt like it definitely was not safe for work. And then this season, while we definitely have Colin's threesome, the main couple,
Kate and Anthony too.
Yeah, we see Kate and Anthony together. The main couple, I'm actually, how their physicality develops, how their intimacy develops, I thought was just on point with the storyline, and that it ended with the carriage scene. And even in that carriage scene, they're interrupted. But it was still, for me, the most intimate and the sexiest. I think this is one of the sexiest years in Bridgerton. This is the sexiest season.
I mean, the eye contact and the very like female gaze, like you are focused on Nicola's face as she is like, she's just along for the ride. That's all she is. Yep. And the fact that like this is probably the sex scene with the least amount of nudity and graphicness, but it was still like felt like the most intimate and the most sexy.
And that has to be a testament to the cinematography of it. The way that the camera angle is, like you said, it's the female gaze. It's we're there with them, but it's not like voyeuristic. It's that sense that we're a part of this, that we're with Penelope, we're feeling what she's feeling. Take that however you will.
I don't know. I think she was feeling pretty good.
I know. And just having that moment with them in that carriage, it was. I'm so glad it ended with that and leaving us wanting more, because that's really what it should do. It should leave us wanting more, not cringing, not okay, enough, time out, and leaving us wanting more in the best way possible. Not that we were unsatisfied, but like, okay, here we go. We can't wait for the next part. So, well done. Well done, Shondaland. Well done. So
yes,
Penelope herself.
Colin and Penelope are Bridgerton couple of the decade.
Yeah.
They're so good.
No, I agree.
I cannot wait to see how their story is going to play out.
And you know what I really liked about... Oh, go ahead, Diana.
Oh, no, you can go. I was going to move on, but...
Oh, no. What I really liked about this season with their storyline is the play on how their relationship grows through that Pygmalion style trope, which is the Colin is helping Penelope develop her independence, her sexuality, her flirtation with men. And at that time, that's where his feelings start to grow for her. He realizes, I'm not the teacher. I want to be the subject. I want to be the subject of her gaze, of her flirtation. So,
and seeing that jealousy awaken in Colin was so satisfying.
It was. I kind of wanted to see it a little bit more. I wanted him to hurt a little bit more. That's my one thing. I wanted to see him grovel.
He needed to pine and yearn for longer. Maybe if they'd done 10 episodes, we could have gotten a full episode of just yearning Colin. And that would have really solidified it. But it was still, what we got was still really, really fun to see.
Right. So
she fell first, but he fell harder.
That trope. Well,
which I love.
That's it. Right there. I love that trope. Love it. Really quick, since we're on the subject of Penelope, let's talk about her physical transformation. Now, we don't mean necessarily her body. We're talking about her look. How this show does not win Emmys or whatever for costume boggles my mind. Her transformation through her costumes, through her dresses, through her look, just absolutely gorgeous. I just, that green dress when she walks out, and we called it the she's all that moment.
Yeah, she's all that glow up where she shows up at prom and she's all
beautiful,
beautiful, but she was secretly beautiful the whole time.
But she was. But hiding, she's the wallflower. That's what she's called. And the past 2 seasons, it's been these pastels, the yellows, the flowers, and
her hair was never flattering as well. Like her hairstyle, it was always these really childish ringlets. Yeah. And so I like how she her hairstyle changed, and it was a very mature look.
Oh, just gorgeous. And then coming out in this almost this hunter green dress that just made her stand out amongst the town. And, the green, the symbolism of green being like growth and new life and fresh and, oh, and to watch their faces, especially Colin's face and Eloise's face. I liked that. And just here she is. And yet she's still Penelope. It's
Yeah, I
not
was
like I
gonna
put
say
on this
that.
dress.
Like, it
Yeah.
didn't magically change her personality
Mhm.
and make her this social butterfly. Like, she's still awkward. She still doesn't know how to converse naturally with men because, like, you don't just put on a fancy dress, step on the wall, and step off the wall, and suddenly you're extremely. I mean, Penelope is charming, but like, she was still awkward.
Yeah.
So I like that it wasn't like a 180 with her personality as well. Like, she
Mhm.
is starting to
Mhm.
step out of her shell, but it was a slower process.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the other friendship in this season, and it's one that is very much frayed. We're seeing it. Um, it is the result of what happened in season 2, which is Penelope and Eloise. If you know, Eloise discovered she is the person who discovered that Penelope is in fact Lady Whistledown. And now that with that knowledge, their friendship, which was a strong friendship, a solid friendship, it is on tender hooks. It is very much not the same. And
Not the same, but I feel like it was always obvious that Eloise still cared for
yes.
Penelope. Even in one of the earliest scenes, there's a scene where Cressida is just shooting her barbs at
Mhm.
Penelope, and Eloise comes over right away and,
Mhm.
to my eyes, distracts Cressida away from Penelope.
Mhm.
To Penelope's eyes, it was more like Eloise is Cressida's bestie now and doesn't want anything to do with her. But
Right.
you could still feel the care that Eloise has. Like, yes, she's incredibly hurt. She's weary. She is not ready to rebuild this friendship, but she still cares
Mhm.
about Penelope and doesn't want her to
Right.
get hurt.
Right.
So you see that. You see a lot of that, but also Eloise still really standing her ground that she does not trust Penelope right now.
And I feel with Eloise, she's in this moment, and that moment my person is gone, right? We all have a person, a best friend, whatever. And for Eloise, that person, while being within arm's reach, it is gone. So how do you find that? How do you discover that? And that's why the Cressida relationship is so shocking for me and
Mm-hmm.
mind-boggling for me.
Mm-hmm. But
But
on the one hand, I'm really glad they're adding depth to Cressida.
yes.
And I
Oh.
don't recall a ton of specific details about her from previous seasons, but I mean,
Mhm.
she was the two-dimensional villain,
Mean girl.
where
Yeah, she's the mean girl.
she's just a nasty girl, and they didn't go deeper than that. So I love that in this season, like, yeah, she's still nasty, but you're getting more of
Mhm.
her backstory. She's becoming more complex. It's making some more sense why she is the way she is, and it even makes you root for her a little bit. Like, when she and Penelope were both pursuing Lord Delving, and I had to keep reminding myself, like, no, Colin is for Penelope. Like, don't get upset that Delving and Penelope aren't working out. I'm like, you know what? I want Cressida to marry Lord. Like, I hope they end up together, and she gets her independence from her horrible father. And I really liked them taking time with
Yeah.
Cressida
Well,
and
and it's because
making
of
her
Eloise.
human. And
Right. It's because of Eloise that we get this new view of Cressida, this almost this humanized look at her. Like you said, she's been this two-dimensional mean girl for the previous seasons. And now we're seeing, oh wait, there's more. There's more beneath this just superficial surface, and here she is, and you do feel for her. And Eloise is like, hey, here's the deal. You can't, what you just did to Penelope, no, you can't do that. I'm not going to stand for that.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, though, but that's back to Eloise. Her humor was so on point, from everything from what she said, her facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
The
And
writing for her was
physical
so sharp.
humor. Yeah,
Hmm?
her dialogue was sharp, but just her, like, the actress's physical acting and just how she moves her body and how entertaining that was. I mean, a lot about the show was funny, but a lot of it came from Eloise.
Oh,
She was, yeah, well, she was so good.
and then this added tension that she knows who Lady Whistledown is, and having her brother Colin say to her, I will avenge you. Lady Whistledown can't get away with this. Let me ask you this. Why do you think Eloise has kept the Lady Whistledown secret, even from her immediate family? Because the Bridgertons are close.
I think she knows it would ruin Penelope. And she just
Mhm.
can't deal that death blow to her friend that she still
Mhm.
cares about.
Yeah.
And it just, I mean, it
That's it.
shows what a good friend Eloise is.
Yeah. She is. She is. And honestly, I can't wait for her season. Her season's just going to be her season. I can't wait for it. I can't wait. But let's talk about another Bridgerton sibling. Can we talk about Benedict and what is going on with him this season?
Yeah, what is the point of Benedict this season? And I know they want to try and include all the Bridgertons so they keep them relevant.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He seems kind of aimless. His plot seems kind
Mhm.
of aimless. Like, I know he eventually ends up with, I know the lady's name, and this is his love interest in part 1 does not appear to be his eventual wife. So yeah, not sure what's going on there.
I know.
To be honest, not overly intrigued either.
Oh, snap.
Like,
Oh, snap.
Benedict was way more interesting in season 1.
Yeah.
When he was
I mean,
like exploring his artistic side and getting in with the like bisexual bohemians and yeah, I don't like, okay, Benedict. You do you. We'll just wait till your season.
I mean, I felt like the first part was him running away from the mamas who are trying to find a husband for their daughters. And then he meets this, I believe is she a widow? I don't, or, she's,
Yeah, a widow, I think. That makes
yeah.
sense.
And essentially she is very much free. She does not want to be tied down. She does not want to be married again. She's happy having an affair with Benedict. I mean, I think I know where it may be going, but like you said, I'm not invested yet in his story. I'm not there yet with him. And he was aimless. I felt like he was aimless this season, or at least this first part.
You know what I am super invested in?
What?
The sex lives of Penelope's sisters. They also have been given a lot more, if not complexity, at least like comedic value. Like, they were horrible in previous seasons, but I loved them this season. They're so dumb and so funny,
dumb.
and I love them so much. And like, when the one sister finally figured out what actual intercourse is, I was like, yeah, get it, girl.
Penelope's sisters are proof why sex education, not just abstinence only education, is important in our public school system.
I was dying during the scene where Portia Featherington is trying to explain baby making.
It was, once again, like we said, it's this humor that is prevalent.
Much needed humor.
Yeah.
And
And it's very funny because if you think about that, contrasted against season 1, where Daphne does not, even though she and the Duke are very much physically, attracted to each other and engage in a lot of activity, Daphne doesn't necessarily know everything, and she has to ask, the maid about certain things, and there was this kind of this the show in that particular season didn't necessarily explore the lightheartedness of that because it was so frustrating for Daphne. She wanted to get pregnant. In this one, you have to laugh at it. This is funny. It's these women are married and they don't understand. One didn't understand sex. She's like, no, he just grunts. He kisses me, grunts, and that's it.
He makes a noise and then he changes his breeches.
So I loved the comic relief of the sisters. I loved that whole storyline. I thought that story with the Featheringtons and how they essentially, once again, they're in financial turmoil. This family is never not in financial turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the sense that a race against the clock. They need a male heir. Gee, I wonder who's going to give them the male heir.
I know.
But
I'm like, is it going to be Penelope? Is Penelope going to have the first boy?
I don't know. We'll know.
See.
But yeah, essentially that race against the clock because somebody forged a will. Wonder who? Mama Featherington. So that family always, I feel like every single season, they're just so screwed up. It's Succession only in Regency times. So,
and female dominated. We were also going to mention how much we liked that they got Kate and Anthony off the scene very quickly.
But that's not to say though that we hate Kate and Anthony.
We do not.
They were one of my favorite couple. No, we don't. We love them. We wanted to actually see more of them as a couple in season 2, but this is not their season. Their relationship has been set up and we got to see them in wedded bliss. But yeah, that was quick. One episode and they're off to their honeymoon and see you later. We know they'll reappear, but yeah, that was fast. That was fast.
Yeah.
Do you think
it works for people, me, though?
Yeah, how so?
We already have a ton of plates in the air this season. It's like there's a plot line for every Bridgerton and there's a lot going on. So I think removing them from the equation helped simplify it. They didn't need to contrive any kind of drama for Kate and Anthony. Like, complaints from season 2 is that we didn't get to see more of them as a couple in their wedded bliss. We got this. We got an episode of it. They are loved up. They are back on their honeymoon, trying. Were they trying for a baby? Was that? Trying.
Sure, if that's the outcome of it.
Yeah. So I think they handled it very well. Like, yes, giving that little bit of fan service, but then also being like, hey, the couple needs to be Colin and Penelope and not divert. I would have been upset if they diverted more attention to Kate and Anthony away from Colin and Penelope.
Right. And I also liked that brief mention of Edwina. She's fine. She's happy. She's engaged. She's somewhere else. See you later.
Yes. Justice for Edwina.
The person we essentially emotionally destroyed in season 2. She's fine. We're all good. We're one big happy family. And yes, while I do love me some Jonathan Bailey, I do love me some Jonathan Bailey. This is not his year. This is not his season. Kate and Anthony, they just go be a married couple. Go be a newlywed couple.
Yes.
There we go. We're okay with you. We're okay.
In their absence, we got a lot of Francesca which I was
Well,
not anticipating. I know there was like a long running joke for all previous seasons, like, where's Francesca? Like, they sent her off to Bath and she was just never seen again. So Francesca is back and debuting, and not the diamond of the season, but
No.
it was having not read any of the books, and I know you have read Francesca's book and had a lot to say about it. I mean, Francesca is a blank slate for me. So it's kind of been slow to fill in those details of who Francesca really is. But we have a little bit of a budding romance for her as well.
So the show definitely highlights and emphasizes Francesca is beautiful. She's supposed to be the Daphne of, of this season. She's supposed to be the diamond. I mean, she walks in to see the queen, and it's just so reminiscent of that first time that Daphne walked in season 1. And then
and physically
flat.
she's really similar to Daphne.
Oh,
where
gorgeous.
You would think that the queen would immediately be like, oh yes, here's my diamond. But no, the queen is super not into it.
No, not in any way, shape, or form. She's bored. In fact, she even says, I'm bored. This is boring me. And Francesca, while she understands the rules of the ton, she understands the rules of the marriage market and everything. It's that sense of her. She's an introvert. She's shy. She doesn't want, while she is, quote unquote, should be the diamond, she doesn't want to stand out. She just wants to be herself and play her music, and she doesn't want to do all the flirting that is required and the games that are set forth by the ton when it comes to finding the person you're supposed to be with your whole life. And it doesn't help. There's that one moment where she looks up and it's the painting of her parents. And we all know that the Mr. and, the original Viscount and Lady Bridgerton that was a love match. They even say that we were a love match. And that's, I think, what she wants.
But she's also very practical, where she's just facing all these duties almost as a debutante, as, I need to do it. I just need to find a good husband. And she doesn't come off to me as very, not whimsical, but it's like she's not even looking for a love match or expecting one. Like, or maybe she just thinks it's impossible, and so she's just practically like, yeah, I should get a husband who's gonna leave me alone and let me play my music.
Yeah, but Hannah Dodd is the new Francesca. So I think she fits into the family well. Like you said, she does definitely look like Daphne. But oh my gosh, when she meets someone very special, very, very special, who understands her and gets her. So she does meet somebody special, and that is John. And if you read her book, John plays a major part in her life. I don't want to say more, though. I don't want to spoil more, but there's somebody else that I'm hoping appears in part 2. But John is the one who understands her and gets her, and the way that
I love that he listens.
He speaks her language.
Yeah.
He speaks her language, and that's the language of music. And she doesn't have anybody in the ton who does that. Rounding out the Bridgertons, though, let's talk really quick about Mama Bridgerton. Violet Bridgerton. Every season I love this woman. Like, her character just gets better and better. And this storyline this year, you didn't have to watch Queen Charlotte to see where the storyline was going. It helps, though, but you didn't have to.
It certainly helps.
It certainly helps. But Mama Bridgerton is tending to her garden this year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm in.
And we've been wanting it for so long. It was always
Mhm.
get Mama Bridgerton a love interest. We want to see it. So then having it be Lady Danbury's brother. And if you've watched Queen Charlotte, spoiler, you learn that Lady Danbury had an affair with Violet's dad.
Yes.
So Lady Danbury sleeps with the dad. So it just comes very full circle to have Violet sleep with Lady Danbury's brother. I hope it happens. Get it, girl.
I don't think it will be out of spite or out of revenge, though.
Right.
I think it
definitely not.
No, I think she's meeting somebody who makes her feel seen, not just a mother, not just
but a woman.
Lady Bridgerton. You know, she sees who sees her, like you said, as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So
I do hope I do hope Lady Danbury and Violet do talk about the history, though, because in Queen Charlotte, you can kind of see everything click for Violet, that she realizes what probably happened, but doesn't mention it. So I would love to see not a confrontation necessarily, but a discussion.
No. But there is something in their friendship this season that is different. It's that the unsaid tension between them. Like, I know that you know that I know, that sense of, so I would love to see them, like you said.
And I'm not mad, but I know.
Right. Not necessarily come to blows. We don't need to see that because, we don't need to always see women fighting, but definitely having that moment where they do talk about it and open up to each other. They did in Queen Charlotte. So I hope they do it again. So I can't wait to see her storyline grow. And then rounding out part 1, we see a lot of the Mondriches.
Yes.
A large part of this season, at least for part 1, has been about them. And I don't mind their storyline. I don't think it takes away from Colin and Penelope's storyline. But I was actually shocked with how much we saw them this season. What was your take on the Mondriches joining the ton? They got to join the ton finally.
Surprising again that they got so much time. But I understand the purpose of showing like we've had all these wealthy families of nobility who are used to the ton, and then you've got outsiders, commoners who are coming in and just showing the struggles that they are going to face as it turns their life upside down, and they both struggle to adapt and find their own way and kind of make their own rules. So I don't feel like we got very far in their story. It hinted that their son becoming a noble, them joining the ton, is maybe going to put some pressure on their marriage, because while she wants to find her own way, she also is the one who is more conforming. And it all comes down to the club. He does not want to give up his club.
Nope.
So, and she's like,
he wants his life.
There was that little dig from, I think, Lady Danbury at the ball. She's like, your husband should be here.
Right.
Like, he's at his
yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. I mean, I hope it's not too angsty and destructive, but it's a good to have that different viewpoint.
Right. Well, and we see this lifestyle as being so glamorous and so just filled with parties and ambiance and wealth that we don't realize the rules. Yeah.
So much vanity.
Yeah. So much. And then to have these people come in and wanting to still keep their existence, wanting to still share a bed together. That was the big, we can't have, that was the big reveal. We can't have a we we can't have a bedroom together, and the scandal if, a husband and wife share something like that together, you know, I I think it's going to be I think it's definitely going to be interesting on their part. I'm just wondering how it plays for the rest of the story, you know.
And how it
And
ties in to
yeah,
the bigger picture. I
right,
mean, like it's
absolutely.
interesting enough on its own, but you don't see really the connections
Mhm.
to the other storylines yet. And I am curious as to which lifestyle they're going to glamorize. The lifestyle of the Ton or the lifestyle of the commoner, you know?
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
will the Mondriches end up fully joining the Ton and conforming more? Or will they keep their independence and continue doing things their own way? Like the commoners,
There
they were born.
yeah. There was this great line that Mondrich said, and I loved it when she said, "What did we do to deserve this? What did we do to earn this?" Like feeling guilt over
Mm-hmm.
this life that was bestowed upon them by this random, was it an aunt or something like that, or a
Yeah,
duke
her, like
or
her great aunt or something.
something like that. And that line, and he said, "Well, what about the viscounts and the other dukes in the ton? What have
Who were
they
just
done
born
to
to
deserve
it.
this?"
They didn't deserve it.
Right.
They were just born. So
Right.
great
I
line.
liked that line. I liked that. I liked
Mm-hmm.
that a lot. And but I think going back to the whole how will it play into the larger part? That's where I think the split season kind of doesn't hurt the storyline, but that's where it doesn't necessarily help
Mm-hmm. It didn't gain much
because
momentum, that storyline.
exactly. Exactly. So that's where I would say, okay, that's where the split season doesn't necessarily help their story, doesn't help their
Mm-hmm.
journey. But at the same time, we'll get our answer within a month. So who
Yeah, we
knows?
don't have to wait very long.
No, no. Um, okay, let's talk about the end of part one. Can we just talk really quickly? And can I tell you how much I was predicting that part one would end with Colin finding out about Penelope being Lady Whistledown, and it was going to boom end like right there, and how happy I am being wrong for how it ended, because I think that's going to be such a big thing for part 2
Mm-hmm.
in
And
June.
they would
Um
have had to rush a lot to
yeah.
get Colin and Penelope together to have the big reveal, the big Whistledown reveal be the end of part one. So while it wasn't what I expected, I think it was perfect.
Yeah. So what
Because
else do you expect for oh, sorry, go ahead.
just because like, okay, they're going to get their 10 minutes of happiness and then shit is going to hit the fan. And that's going to be part two.
Yeah. Well, what else do you I mean, there's so much part 2. Can we just take a moment and speculate, what do we want to see or hope to see for part 2?
Mm-hmm. I mentioned this earlier. I would really love to see Cressida end up with Lord Delbene. Like, it might not be
Mhm.
a love match, but I feel bad for the girl. So I hope she gets her independence as a married woman. I hope we see more of
Yeah.
that. Like, that was really interesting to me.
I
It's,
I
it's a
feel like
small thing, but
right, right. I feel like you're a Cressida stan now. Like, you're like, I feel you, Cressida."
I'm
You're
like,
st
oh, girl, like, oh, you're so unhappy. And that's what makes you so nasty. Like, I'm like, I don't, you don't need a love match necessarily, but even just like getting out from under your father's roof will make you a better person.
yeah. Um, I'm hoping I mean, they're building it up. There's gonna be a blow up about Whistledown. It's Colin that's
Yes.
gonna be the tension with Colin and Penelope's engagement is Lady Whistledown. He's gonna find
Mm-hmm.
out, and I think it's just going to it is
Yeah.
it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad before it gets better, but it's gonna be bad.
It is going to be
I wanna
bad.
see him. I
Lose,
wanna see him
lose
blow
it.
up.
But I
Lose it.
also think it's going to be Eloise
Mhm.
talking him down and defending Penelope. Like, I think Eloise is going to be the voice of reason as her best friend. And it's like, that's what I'm hoping. But I can see it. I feel like they've laid the groundwork where Eloise is still very much invested in Penelope and will end up being her biggest defender.
Oh, I love that. I hope that happens. Because once again, it's that sense of that friendship that we see, how Eloise, even though she's angry at her, still protects her in certain ways. And to have her come to the defense, that would be good. And oh man, once the makeup sex between Colin and Penelope, oh, so good. So good. So good. But you know what? No matter what happens, in part 2, we're going to be back in about a month, June 13th, to talk all about Bridgerton season 3, part 2 on Netflix. We cannot wait. Netflix, excellent job. Shondaland, excellent job. Bridgerton season 3, part 1 is streaming now on Netflix, episodes 1 through 4. Awesome job. Fantastic job. Definitely worth a re-binge. And we will see you guys here in a month for part 2, June 13th. Bye.
I